Today we're going to show you the three pieces of equipment that we do my commercial plowing with in private camp roads for my business. We're going to start with the F350 dual wheel truck. This has got an HC 9-foot Fisher plow on it. The reason I chose it, when I bought this truck new a few years ago, I went to a Fisher dealership to get a 9-foot blade. They had this as a leftover from the year before. This was the one that was on the showroom floor. This is the maximum plow I can put on an F350 as far as Fisher specs go. The difference between this and a 9-foot HD is a 9-foot HD, the mold board from the trip edge up is 24 inches. This is 30 inches. It's built a little bit, everything's a little bit thicker. It's got the double springs. The cylinder size, if you look, is way bigger. They're just a lot stronger. This will stay, like if you're pushing banks back, this will stay straight armed better than any plow I've ever had. It's not the fastest. You can adjust it to be faster, but the thing you will notice with this compared to regular Fisher HDs is picking it up and angling it. It's probably about 2/3 of the speed, but I've left it that way. You can turn them up, but I don't mind it. But I wanted to show you the reason I chose this. This is the truck we do all our dirt roads with. We use this. We do have a tractor and a loader we use on the dirt roads too, but this does the main storm. The next day we may go in and push back with tractors or a loader, but I've had very good luck with Fisher stuff. I've had most of the plows. I believe the only thing I haven't had is a Blizzard and a Henniker. All the other plows I've had 20-something years of plowing in my business. I like the Fishers because of the dealerships. The dealership I'm using most of the time, I want to say they've been in business 30+ years, but that's the reason I choose Fisher. I like this for the most part is on camp roads. You can probably go another 5 miles. I don't go flying down them, but I probably do 15 to 20 miles an hour with that extra height on the mold board and this flap on it. You can, there's no overspray getting on your windshield. I think the weight of the plow helps too. It stays down on the road better. I do find, I normally do my parking lots with the V-plow truck. I do find when I do parking lots, this will back drag. I do a medical building that has horrible parking as far as whoever set it up never plowed, I can tell you that. But this will go up to a curb, drop it, and it will back drag out clean because this weighs, I believe, 285 pounds more than a normal 9-foot Fisher plow HD because it's made a little bit heavier. So, but again, I'm going to stress this. This is all an F350 1-ton Ford wants on it. I think the only other truck you'd probably want to put this on would be a Dodge that has the straight X front end. Anything independent was not going to like, suspension's not going to like this plow. Another thing I will say about the F350, when I put this on at the dealer, that she was telling me the Fords are one of the few trucks that will lift this high enough to get over a curb. Both my parking lots have a lot of granite curbs. I've heard horror stories from other guys that buy other trucks and they find out their 9-foot 6B plow, they can't get it to lift high enough. So you end up putting a leveling kit or a lift kit in a brand new truck. That's something else to think about when you're buying a plow. You got to remember the weight of these things. You got to have the front suspension for it. The 3/4 ton trucks, the independent suspension in the GMs. I think GM makes a good truck. I think the rear suspension in a GM 1-ton is probably better than a Ford as far as hauling a load. The front suspension has no business having anything bigger than an 8-foot plow on it, probably. That's my feelings. When I deal with a lot of other companies that are very dissatisfied. This truck here has 96,000 miles on it. Still got the original ball joints and stuff in the front end. And it's had a 8'6" straight blade and a 9'6" V-plow hung on it since I've owned it. This is the next piece of equipment that we plow with. It's an MX 6000 Kubota tractor. It's got the 7.5-foot Curtis plow on it, power angle. The only big difference between this and the Fishers I have is this whole mold board trips forward off these springs. It doesn't have a trip edge. Normally I do not like these. I would never want this on a pickup truck. But on a tractor, I think it's a lot softer on the tractor. And also we push banks back with this, and I think that tipping forward sometimes actually makes the stuff fly off the edge a little bit easier. So works out good for this. I got a real good deal on this when I got it. It was old stock but brand new. This is the second piece of equipment I've had this plow on. The only thing we'll be changing up next year on these 3 pieces of equipment is this MX6000. Last year worked out real well, just this type of snow we had. It pushed it off the road, pushed banks back. I tend to push banks back with this because I'm not so afraid of it getting to an edge. A lot of these class 6 camp roads I'm on, the ditch, when I say they're ditched where a pickup truck, when you're in it, you're stuck. You're gonna have to get pulled out with a piece of equipment. The tractors, you can kind of keep an eye on what you're doing a little bit more. So I do a lot of the pushing back of the banks with this. So next year, what I'm going to be changing, I am going to chain it up in the back wheels. This year, every storm we got this year was like a 5 or 6, 8-inch snow, but it was like concrete type snow. There was so much moisture in it. So I think the chains will just be a good added thing. The third piece is a F350 single wheel pickup. It's got the 9'6" XV2 V plow on it. These are decent. The first V plow I had didn't wing up like this, and after I got this, I couldn't believe how much better I like the new version of this plow. I didn't buy all the Ford stuff I have now is new enough, so all the wiring on it's what Fisher calls flex fleet. So whatever controller you put in it, it will run. So this V plow can go on either truck. You just got to have both controllers. I tend to get the controllers that have all the stuff on them, so these trucks, any truck can run these plows. I was never a big fan of the V plows. I do commercial plowing in parking lots. There's a couple storms a year where I think the V plows work nice when you're chasing slush across the parking lot or something. This year I was impressed with it because we've been getting, this part of New Hampshire, all we're getting for snow is almost like concrete snow when we get it. It's so much moisture in it. There's been a couple mornings to get up out of my property to go plow my route. I actually had to V the plow because it was just building up so bad, and I'm climbing up out of a hill all the way out of my property. So first time I've been like super impressed that I had a V plow. Other than that, these are a lot of money. You got to figure the new price. Like this plow here, I bought brand new from a guy that was going out of business. This was their spare plow they had sitting in a pole barn. He went out of business 2 years ago. I had a chance to buy it real reasonable. Other than that, I don't think I'd ever buy one of these brand new. Both my V plows I bought used. This truck originally had a 8'6" straight blade on it, and I ran into this, and the Fleet Flex allows you to use the V plows, and I got the controller with this. But this had never been on a truck. I got a real good deal on it. I'm going to suggest to like somebody that's hiring someone to plow for them, I would, if I was going to have someone else, I do have, my daughter drives these and my son-in-law drives these. If you're training somebody to plow that's never plowed before, I would never put them in a V plow. I'd always start them out with a straight blade no matter what it was. The only problem with these V plows is the maintenance on them. I hit them, after all the years I've done a parking lot, 2 years ago a manhole cover had swelled up and I hit it and I broke this hinge point apart. Fixing it myself still cost me almost $1,200 and I think $50. So they're a little more sensitive. The cutting edges are more money. If money's not an object when you're buying a company truck for your company, the 9'6" V plows, I think the way to go. I tend to buy, I look at everything I buy, tractors and everything. I want it to make me money. I don't want it to take 3 years to feel I'm making money. So until something's paid for, I don't feel they're making me a lot of money. So price compared to this, compared to like an 8'6" straight blade is a big difference. Like if you're already bought the truck, like right now I just bought a new truck for my personal use. An F250 pickup right now is basically 60 grand. So when it comes time to put a plow on a truck, you already got 60 grand out in a truck. You might want to be a little careful what you spend on a plow, because you can spend $6,800, you can spend 12, 14 grand on a plow now, depending on what you get. My dream plow would probably be a Fisher XLS. I think that's probably the one that makes the most sense to me, but I can't, after 20 something years of being in business, I can't justify paying that kind of money new. I just don't ever run into them used that are decent enough that I'd want to buy. I'm hoping someday I can run into one like I did this. This was literally never on a truck. And I bought this probably for $4 grand less than what it was new. So in my shop, we keep an extra blade. It's an 8-foot HD. I got a good deal on it a couple years ago. Most of the time when you break a hose or something, if it's during the day, you come home and fix it. If you break a hose 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it's easier just to come home, take that blade off, put another one on. So, and it's funny because since I've had an extra blade, I don't have those breakdowns. It's kind of a weird thing. But I like having this extra plow in here. But I want to show you, this is an 8-foot HD with the snow foil. But from here to the cut to the trip edge, this is 24 inches, where the HC series is 30 inches. And it really does make a big difference when you're plowing down a road or something like that. Having that extra mold board makes a big difference. But I just wanted to show you this plow. And you can see the difference. It's like the 9-foot's got the double springs on the outside. I mean, this is fine. Most guys, this is what I plowed with for years, is 8 and 9-foot straight blades. I still think they're the best value for the money, even today. So I'm going to end this video with, I've chose Fisher plows. I've had super luck with them compared to anything else I've owned. I'm not trying to say anything bad about other plows. Another reason I think the Fisher does well in New England is because they're built in New England. There's dealers around. I have a dealer 20 minutes from my house that carries almost anything in stock. 40 minutes from my house is an actual Fisher dealer. The other one's an automotive place, but they're a Fisher dealer. But there's a big Fisher dealer 40 minutes from my house. I don't care if even with my older trucks with old wiring harnesses, I've gone in, I'll hand one to her. She like 5 minutes later, she's handing me back a new wiring harness. That's another thing I like about the Fisher, is the dealers seem to have a lot of stock in the back room. And the experience they have. My dealer that I use in Alton, New Hampshire, Alton Motorsports is what the place is called. I've had anything I've walked in there, you hand it to her, 5 minutes later you're out the door and ready to rock and roll again. And so that's the biggest reason I stick with the Fisher stuff. And on the reality of it is, all that ever goes wrong with me is hoses, and it's normally my fault. You get into a bank too hard. I did a video where that V plow broke a hose last year, and it's because I drove into a snowbank that froze up like a brick the night before, and I didn't know it. So when I hit it, I'm kind of glad that they do break the hose, because years ago, the older Fishers, sometimes you'd actually bend a cylinder or blow a cylinder out because the hose wouldn't break. So I think they're making the fail-safe things on them now, where a hose does pop before something major goes. But again, I just don't want people thinking that I'm talking bad about any other plow. If you're having good luck with another brand, awesome. You know, my biggest thing as a business is I would look for a dealer that's close to you, so if you do have a breakdown, you can get a part for it. So this is what works for me. If you have a brand plow that worked real well for you, please, put something in the comments so I can read it. There is a plow I ran into on a truck at one of my suppliers one day that had a Henniker on it. I always thought Henniker plow was like big commercial stuff. This guy had one on a 1-ton Ford, and I was pretty impressed. I'd like to learn a little more about those. If someone's got one, leave something in the comments. Other than that, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Thanks.